right, let's talk about Helio Gracie's Lesson 1, Part 3, which is the headlock defense against someone who's trying to pull your head down and punch you in the face. The first thing to think about when anyone touches our head, neck, shoulder area and tries to pull us down is to establish a base. A base means not only that my feet are a little bit more than shoulder width apart, my knees are a little soft, the hips are soft. They shouldn't be back. If the hips are back, my hips go behind my shoulders. When my hips go behind my shoulders, this, right, is what happens. I end up doing a forward roll. If I'm doing a forward roll but my head is being held in someone else's vice grip, that means that my head, my face, is hitting the ground, which I don't want. I'm not going to be able to roll because they're holding me. So base means feet about shoulder width apart a little more, soft knees, relaxed hips, but the hips are not back, they're forward. The hips are forward, so they're touching, if possible, the person. This has an added advantage. If we spin here, you'll see that this back leg touches Nate's hips and gets them too far forward. So this is going to help me later, because if I can get Nate's shoulders behind his hips, right? If you're based, your shoulders and hips are square, like this. If the shoulders go too far forward, you end up eventually doing a forward roll. In other words, you become tippable that way. If you sit in the hips and then you start to take the shoulders behind the hips, you fall backwards. And we don't want either of those. We want to stay upright right now. So that means this is set, the knees are soft and the hips are squared with the shoulders. Now the problem comes because Nate in this scenario is bigger and stronger, and as a bigger, stronger opponent, he's got the power to hold my head and pull me down. So some things that I can do to stop that or to attempt to interfere with it are this. Not only can I base and put my hips in, right? I can maybe hold him here for a second, but see, it leaves me a little vulnerable to the punch. So your better option is to shoot both hands straight across so that you block the arm, and now the hand that's in the back can pass right here to make a frame. This frame keeps Nate's spine up straight, and when he can't bend the spine, he can't pull my head. So sometimes you can do this just with a frame in the neck. You can use two hands and you can push him away. But again, you're vulnerable to the punch. One option is to take the flat hand, open the hand all the way, right? And then put it under the chin so that he can't bend the chin down. Keep his spine up. Another option, maybe the guy's a little taller, and so to simulate this, Nate would be a little farther away, and I'd use the knuckles of my fist here in the jaw and just grind those into him or put them in his carotid artery, something like this. If you can use the frame or the hand under the chin or the fist, it may slow your descent. Descent being this, right? The speed at which my head or face is traveling towards the ground, or the speed at which my head or face is traveling towards Nate's fist. Because in this scenario, the guy's punching us while headlocking with the free hand. In any event, if I can put some brakes in to interrupt his flow, I can keep myself a little safer. So as soon as you feel someone touch, base right away and shoot the hands, right? And get in front and behind back here. Why? Because now I can monitor his body. I've got everything controlled between these two walls, so I'm a little more sensitive to where he's going to be. Nate's being a static partner right now because we're trying to demonstrate this for the sake of a drill. In a fight, the guy's going to be all over the place. So you need to surround him with as much contact as you can. Now, because I have this contact, I can tell my hips, look, are already far away, and I would know that I have to walk closer. Right? A lot of this is just basic clinching theory. But again, the guy's so strong, I can't really secure the clinch. I'm already being pulled down because I don't have the power or the whatever, the timing to resist. So now this is a compromised position, and this is the most dangerous thing. The head being pulled down to meet the fist, which he's already cocking and throwing, boom. Both hands go in front, and I monitor this. It's not important to grab the arm so strongly in the beginning that he can't punch. If the guy's powerful enough to pull you down, he's powerful enough to throw the punch. What you want to do is interrupt that, get something in between, create barriers so that the damage caused by the punch is minimized. Does that make sense, right? So you don't want to get knocked out. Don't get knocked out. You're going to get hit. It's a street fight. We always get hit. We always get hurt if you fight in the street. That's just something that comes with the territory. But here, at least I can put something in between, and it's not a lot of effort for me to keep my arms straight and just maintain a decent base. While Nate may be struggling to continue to throw punches and continue to pull, which makes him a little more tired than me. So I may have to wait this out. I don't know how long, depends on how much gas the guy has, right? How much energy the guy has. But you'll be able to tell when he's a little tired because the punches will come slower. The attempts to pull you will become slower. He'll feel more compromised. You may hear his heart beating more because after all, your head's next to his chest. If you're that sensitive in the middle of a fight, congratulations. You may hear him breathing more. You can feel his fatigue. And when that happens, you're able to transfer the rear hand around the bicep. Look, no thumb. Without the thumb, the grip is weak. With the thumb here all together, you're grabbing with all 5 digits and you're cupping this. And if we spin around here, when this elbow flies open, it's a lot harder on my arm. So I'm just going to close this lock. And that's how I'm going to keep his arm shut. Now this alone, again, the guy's so strong, this alone won't work. So I need a little extra help from my second hand. And to do that, I'm going to monitor the wrist. Now I'm at least close enough that the hand is better monitored than it was before. It's less threatening because it's less mobile. He's also becoming tired. When this happens, I can take the hand and use it to feed the wrist even deeper, and that gets me a deeper purchase here. Right? Ideally, I'd like to be all the way around the front so my fingers curl around the front of the bicep. And now I can lock the elbow again, and I feel a little safer. Another gripping option here, which we don't talk about a lot because we see it happen from the ground mostly, but another gripping option is to thread the rear arm underneath and then hold like this. Right? Both hands locking the wrist and the arm to the hip. So this may happen because he's punching here and I'm just monitoring, and then I get underneath and I hold like this. The advantage here is that as you hold, he's becoming more and more tired because this is a powerful grip, and as he struggles, his arm becomes fatigued. So you can keep this, right? That's fine. But we'll do this traditionally with the bicep overlay and the wrist control. Meanwhile, he hasn't stopped pulling me down to the ground. So I'm compromised here, which means I always have to go back to step 1 and check my base. See, already, just by him pulling me, the hips went away again. So that's fine. I just adjust for that by making my stance a little deeper and getting close here. Now, when I feel that this hand is really controllable and I'm not in danger of being punched anymore because I've fed it deep enough to control it and I've locked the elbow in the back, that's when I can switch this hand to the wrist. Not the hand, because then he just twists out. The hand is soft. But the wrist is a solid bone, and I can lock that to my chest. You notice how if we spin, the base position that I've taken has this leg right here close to him so that I can get his hips back. And this is going to be advantageous for me when in my next step, after I control the punch and then lock the wrist, I take a giant step back on my lead leg. And when I do this, I try to look up and away a little bit. Look how stretched and extended he is now, but I haven't done anything other than switch my base from a right-facing stance to a forward-facing stance. This is a base, right? And this is a base. Either way, whenever I move, I'm transitioning from base to base at all times. So base is where I begin the movement. I eventually end up locking the arm successfully. I hold the wrist, and now base is where I move in the movement, in the technique. And I keep him open, like this. Now, the temptation is to take my head and sort of duck out. And all this does is open him up again, and he spins around and punches me right in the face. Or he goes backwards and throws the elbow, or we're back where we were against the strong guy who I'm having a hard time monitoring, right? So, instead of ducking out, instead of ducking out, once I step up and away and open him and compromise the base, your best option is to take a deep bow at the waist so you end up below the arm. And when I do this, I don't let go. I keep this attached and I don't let go here. This stays attached. And now I want my head to come out this way, parallel to the ground. Not ducking under, but parallel. Look, deep bend, and I walk backwards, keeping the hand attached to the chest. Because if I don't keep the hand attached to the chest, and I bend, and I get backwards, as I go, he just takes the hand off, and he's free, and I lose all the control. I have to keep this locked to the chest. And this way, my entire body brings the arm with me till the head comes out. And everything else stays the same. You notice even when I walk, it's a small shuffle step, maintaining the base the entire time. Never ever cross the feet. Never ever close the base so much that you tip. Right? These are important details. So be willing to move slowly and methodically from base to base. Now we've gotten to here, right? The headlock starts, I try to get close, I base, I frame, I all this, and he's still pulling me down, punching me, so I switch to a defensive posture for the punch. When he gets tired, I start to feed. Or remember the second option. I transfer this grip to the wrist, and I step up and away, and look up and away, rather. This leg back here puts his hips forward so that he's arched, he's spread open. I bend all the way until my head is low enough that I can walk backwards while keeping this. And as I do, look what happens if we spin here. I stretch Nate's arm. Now if I let go with this hand, Nate can just spin and punch me. So I can't let go. If I let go with this hand, Nate can spin and throw an elbow the other way. I can't let go. This has to stay where it is, and this has to be on the chest. When it's time for me to lock Nate's shoulder, I don't walk in, I walk sideways. And this starts to bend the arm. And as I bend the arm by pushing the wrist up the back, I put so much pressure on the shoulder that he complies. Okay, does that make sense? So a couple things we were talking about. This is a really nice rudimentary self-defense response that's scripted, right? It's scripted. You have a cooperative partner. It's something that's a very traditional form of Japanese judo and jiu-jitsu, which Helio adapted for leverage. And this is all very wonderful. But when you get to the end here, if we're in a bar fight or a street fight, do we really expect that we're holding the guy's bicep and we walk to this hammerlock or chicken wing and the guy's just going to comply and do whatever we want? And he's powerful enough to have grabbed us in the headlock and punched us in the face in the first place. What are we going to do if, because so many times we've trained, our partner taps and we're used to letting go when our partner taps, the guy in the street taps because maybe he watches a lot of UFC. Maybe he grapples too, right? And he taps. Then we're going to let go and then we're going to get beat up again. There has to be more follow-through. This person just grabbed your head, tried to throw you on the ground, smash your face on the ground, tried to knock you out with a punch. You can't end it in this standing hammerlock, right? You've got to exhibit more control and finish the position so that you're controlled in a way that demands compliance. This particular motion right here does not demand compliance. Even if you manage to jack the arm all the way up, this is only happening because Nate's so cooperative. There's not a demand compliance here. So there's a couple things that we should be looking for so that we can bring him more into our world, right? Bring him more into our world. Our world as jiu-jitsu players is the ground. There's a lot to be aware of. The mat where we train, the dojo, it's like a laboratory. It's pristine. There's no tables, there's no chairs, there's no glass beer mugs, there's no waiters walking by with hot trays of food, there's no damp floor where we could slip and fall, right? There's no a bunch of Nate's friends on the other side of the bar who are going to be jumping me when I'm trying to deal with him. So this is not a really realistic environment, right? Because it's just a laboratory. So it's a place where we can practice, but let's take into account more things. Situational awareness is going to be very important in self-defense scenarios. If you're not aware of the fact that the area you're fighting in has its own environmental hazards, like a table whose corner you hit your head on as you fall, right? You're not going to be well equipped to fight in that kind of situation. So we want to keep the movements compact. We want to keep the movements efficient. We don't want to do anything fancy. We want to use as little strength and effort as possible, while at the same time using the right and requisite and appropriate amount of power to control the situation. And we don't want to move in large sweeping fashions. We want to basically keep the fight contained in an area, maybe no bigger than this, like, square. You see these squares on the map? Maybe these 2 squares. Maybe if we can keep the fight in an area that big, we're a lot safer environmentally than if we make the fight roll from this end of the mat all the way back out the door. Right? As great as that would be for a movie, we're not making a movie, we're trying to stay alive in a street fight against a bigger, stronger opponent. So some options that we have after Nate headlocks me. Let's go from the beginning, so we'll run through the whole thing live. And here we are. The guy's still strong, he's not tired, he's still bigger than me, still stronger than me, nothing changed. From this position, if I let go, I know that I can get punched. But if I let go and get my body close enough, I can save that from happening. So what I'd like to suggest here is that after we let go, we immediately move close, and the arm that's holding his bicep to control the punch, we drape over the shoulder, and we use the chin on the other shoulder. Look, like this, right? And we're just close here. Switch this to an over-shoulder grip, and this leg, which is the same leg that we used to push him forward before, do the same thing. Get in a nice wide base. Again, we're moving from a base to a base. And now drag him backwards, using this leg right here as a support structure. And look what happens. I'm going to take this knee to the ground, because right now, on 2 feet, I'm too high. So I take the knee to the ground, but I leave this leg up so I drive into him. Right? And I can just hold here. This is called an over-under grip. The top hand is being held by the bottom as a way of locking him down, and I don't leave this space open here. My chin is on his shoulder, and my knee is still in his back, so he can't go forward or away. And this leg is my support driving leg, so this is my base. This foot and this knee are my base. From here, we can start to switch to a rear naked choke, right? We know this already. If you don't, watch lesson 6 in the core curriculum. Is it 6? I think it's 6. Look in the core curriculum on the playlist and look for rear naked choke, or mata leal. Point of the elbow underneath the chin, rip free the second hand, hold the bicep, comb his hair, and now we expand the chest as we breathe. That's it, right? You can finish him here. That is a compliance hold. And if he doesn't comply, he's unconscious. One issue, what if the guy is so tall that I'd have to jump up to wrap my hand around his neck? Hopefully the guy's going to be wearing a shirt. If not, then we'll go to a back takedown, which is something else, later lesson. But right now we've ended here, and we're holding the bicep. But the guy's going to be too tall, and I can't reach around the neck and drag him backwards from that position. So what I can do is either grab his collar or grab his shirt, wherever I can. And then I'm going to use the hand that I already have, which is still attached to the chest from the headlock escape, and the shirt, and pull them this way. And again, I don't want to do this and change my base. I'm just illustrating the pull. And I want to stay in base, and this forward foot is going to kick behind the opposite knee. Flat foot, right at the knee. You just want him to bend his knees, because look what happens. His hips go forward, his shoulders go back. What did we talk about before? When the shoulders go behind the hips, you tip backwards. When the shoulders go in front of the hips, you tip forward. Doesn't make sense to tip him forward here. We're already back. Let's just continue and stay safe. So we have the arm bent from the headlock escape. We're holding the bicep, but we can't get real compliance here. So we're going to switch to grabbing a handful of shirt because we can't reach the neck, or grabbing the collar. Maybe you grab the hair, right? And then you're going to kick the foot here and pull him at the same time and walk back. And now look, I need to step around the corner. Let's spin a little bit. Sorry. We're going to step around the corner right here. The knee that's closest to his feet, you're going to put in the chest, in the abdomen, and put the weight. And again, it's one knee and one foot, just like before. It was this knee and this foot when we had the back, right? Now it's this knee and this foot, and right here. Just finish him off, right here. He may push you. When he pushes you, great. Take the hand and put it under your armpit. That same arm goes under his elbow till it grabs your other wrist, and then the free hand goes in the bicep, and you stretch him and break the arm. Or you get compliance. Or you hold this and you just punch with the free hand. Or you mount. And you stay heavy with your soles of your feet together, your hands wide and your chest low. Right? Just control the area you're in, control the person, and get real compliance. Let's run through all the options one more time. Headlock. Shoot the arms out. Maybe I make a frame. Maybe I have the hand. Maybe I use the fist. Maybe I touch here, but this is open for the punch. Not good. Right? Drop my base. Hips close. Knees soft, feet wide. As he gets tired, feed myself the bicep. Look right here. Lock the elbow. Hold the wrist, not the hand, the wrist. Keep this leg close and step back and look up and away. From base to base. I bend my head deep and walk backwards, keeping the hand on the chest. For the sake of this practice session, we finish with the chicken wing right here, the hammerlock right here. For a real life scenario, when I let go, I jump to the neck with the hand and the chin. And now I'm going to walk backwards using this leg as a stabilizer. Look how the foot goes out wide, this knee hits the ground, and the chin goes here. Now I look for the rear naked choke. Second option, from the headlock. Let's spin a little bit. Can't reach the neck for whatever reason. Grab the collar, grab the hair, grab the shirt, pull and kick behind the knee. Take him back, step around the corner, be heavy with the shin. In the abdomen, in the chest. The other leg is out wide for base. Tee off. Right? You don't have to get crazy, but you let him know that you're dominating. If he pushes you, you take the hand and put it under the armpit. That hand wraps behind the elbow till it can grab the other wrist. Now the wrist goes on the bicep and you stretch. All right? Makes sense? Let's go.